2. Helen Barnes, storyteller.
Well, hi viewers, nice to have you here today. Once you gave me the idea, all of a sudden my head was just filled with little ideas floating around, so I thought, well, I'll just pick one and do it. So I talked to my associate here about doing one about 2 children in Africa. So I think I will go with that one. That one just appeals to me more than the other one did. So this is a story about 2 children in America, a little boy and a little girl, brothers and sisters, and a friend of theirs that they have in Africa. They are not related, but they're friends, and they're all very young, so they have history about this friend of theirs in Africa. So they always used to keep asking their mom and their dad, well, when are we going to go to Africa? I want to go to Africa to meet my friend. And mom and dad would say, well, it costs a bundle to go to Africa. It costs $1,000 or so, more than $1,000 to go for one person to go to Africa. Well, how much money is that, they'd say. And mom would say, it's an awful lot of money. And so the children would go off and mutter, and then they would get something else on their mind and they'd forget about it. Then something would come up about Africa on the news or someplace, and they'd go, oh, Mom, when are we going to Africa? And Mom would say, we probably aren't going to be going anytime soon because it's so expensive. Oh, that's right, you told us, but well, can we save our money? Sure, you can start out on saving their pennies, and so they saved enough to buy maybe a book about Africa, but that's about it. So they went to this library one day, and they found a book called Children's Africa, and they said, oh, Mom, let's check this book out. So they got the book out, and they sat down, and they started looking at it, and they realized that they had places in America where they could pretend they were in Africa. So they said, well, let's go to some of those, Mom. So Mom said, well, now that's more doable, that's more reasonable. So they planned a trip to an amusement park called HighAfrica. And so the children went with Mom and Dad to HighAfrica, and they went touring it. And well, the things they saw, oh my goodness, they got to see elephants and giraffes and emu and rhinoceros and even an alligator. They got to see an alligator. And they came back and saying, oh my gosh, Mom, that was wonderful. Can we do that again? So they, over the several years that they lived there in that house, they went back and forth to see this HighAfrica exhibit. And the children just fell in love with Africa even more than they already were. So they would write their friend in Africa and say, I saw such and such and so and so. It's like, you know, like a warthog or something like that. And then the friend would write back, I've seen those too, and they're for real here. You must come over and see them. So their children would then start again about, when are we going to go to Africa? When are we going to go? Well, time went by, and finally Father one day came home and said, you will never believe what happened to me. And the children said, well, and Mom said, well, no, what? He said, I won the lottery. And he said, I got enough money that if we are careful with it, guess what we can do? And the little girl said, I know what we can do. We can go to Africa. And the father said, that is exactly what I have in mind. So the children and the mom and the dad finally got to see the Africa that they wanted to see and meet with the little boy who was their friend. That is the end of the story about HighAfrica and what it takes to get a goal met and do it in a timely way that you can still enjoy it with your mom and dad.
Oh, that's so cute.